Welcome to Factoland, where luck meets epic stupidity. These 33 Americans didn't plan to survive. They just messed up and lived. Ready to meet them? Let's get into it. Number 1. It started as a quiet night in an Iowa office. One tired employee, one bag of popcorn, and one ancient microwave that looked like it had survived the Cold War. Halfway through the timer, pop, spark, and suddenly, the machine coughed out flames. Instinct said, "Open the door." That only fed the fire, but luck had other plans. The sparks leapt up, hit a heat sensor in the ceiling. Sprinklers exploded to life, drowning the fire and flooding the entire floor. Computers fried, ceiling tiles fell. But not a single person was hurt. The popcorn was ruined. The intern got a promotion nobody asked for. Number 2. A small sightseeing flight over Montana skies. Clear weather, calm air, 8 passengers, 1 broken seatbelt. The passenger tugged, twisted, cursed. Nothing. It wouldn't unbuckle. Moments later, turbulence. The plane dropped 400 feet in an instant. Bodies hit the ceiling, cameras shattered, and the one still trapped by that jammed seatbelt stayed frozen in place, untouched. When the plane leveled, the latch finally clicked open, like nothing had happened. Later inspection found a single grain of sand stuck inside. That one piece of dirt had saved a life. Number 3. The explosion wasn't planned. It never is. A small repair shop sat just outside Dallas, the kind with old radios, dusty fans, and one person who thought soldering near a gas heater was a solid idea. Mid-afternoon, quiet, the smell of coffee and burnt wire. Then a single spark, tiny, lazy, meaningless, dropped straight into an open container of paint thinner. Boom! A flash of white light ripped through the room. Shelves toppled, glass shattered. The worker dove under a metal table, shielding their face, praying it wouldn't be the last mistake they ever made. But here's the twist. The blast didn't reach them. It hit a rusted air compressor first. The tank cracked open, releasing a pressure wave that forced all the flames out through a back window. The fire literally blew itself outside. Neighbors thought a car bomb went off. Firefighters arrived expecting bodies. Instead, they found one soot-covered person sitting under a desk, shaking, alive, and holding the same coffee mug from 5 minutes earlier. Later, investigators said if the compressor had exploded a second later, the shrapnel would have gone inward instead of out. 1 second, that was the margin, the difference between found alive and found eventually. Number 4. It was a quiet Sunday on the outskirts of Phoenix. A man decided his pickup truck was a little too clean. So, in the name of efficiency, he poured gasoline directly onto the hood to help loosen the grease before pressure washing it. He lit a cigarette to think it over. The wind changed direction. The lighter flared. The gas caught instantly. Fire rolled up the hood, licked the windshield, and then, in a twist no insurance agent could invent, the truck's worn-out fuel pump short-circuited, killing the flames by cutting its own gas flow. Smoke everywhere. Eyebrows gone. Truck survived. Sometimes stupidity burns itself out before you can. Number 5. A college dorm in Ohio, winter 2017. 2 students experimenting with dry ice for a science video. The goal, make instant fog. The reality, make instant explosion. The plastic soda bottle burst like a grenade, blowing out the window. One chunk of glass flew straight at the student behind the camera and shattered against the lens, the camera lens. It took the hit like a bulletproof shield. Both survived. The footage went viral. Physics class never did. Number 6. Midnight traffic on a Los Angeles freeway. An exhausted delivery driver fell asleep at the wheel, drifting across lanes toward the concrete divider. At that same moment, a semi-truck driver behind noticed the headlights weaving. Instead of braking, the trucker honked. A blast so loud, it jolted the sleeper awake just in time to yank the wheel. The car scraped the divider, spun twice, and stopped perfectly between two parked tow trucks. Not a dent beyond the side mirror. The horn, the timing, the miracle of caffeine. That's how a snore almost met God. Number 7. New Orleans, 2003. A restaurant kitchen. Dinner rush chaos. A cook dropped an entire pot of boiling oil. It hit the tiled floor, slipped toward their shoes, and right then, a rat sprinted across the floor, knocking over a metal tray. The tray landed like a shield over the oil splash. The cook stood frozen, staring at the smoking tray that had just saved their legs. The rat escaped. It was never seen again. The health inspector called it divine intervention with whiskers. Number 8. In 1998, a tourist boat off the coast of Maine hit rough weather. Waves slammed the hull, tossing passengers like laundry. One tried to stand, slipped, hit the railing, and fell overboard. Crew shouted, people panicked, but the ocean wasn't done being weird. A second wave, taller than the first, lifted the same passenger back over the railing and dropped them onto the deck again. Bruised, drenched, breathing. No life jacket, no logic, just a rogue wave that returned its own victim like a lost package. Number 9. It was December, Chicago, the kind of cold that makes the air crackle. A maintenance worker on the 18th floor of an old apartment complex was fixing a frozen window latch. The window jammed, and when the worker leaned in for leverage, the latch snapped. They fell forward. Glass shattered. For half a second, gravity had full control. The worker tumbled straight out into open air. But the safety harness clipped to the heater pipe caught. The pipe snapped too. So now, both human and heater were falling together, tangled in the same cord. As they dropped, the heater hit a metal balcony, bounced off, and the attached cable swung the worker inward, right through another apartment window 2 floors below, bruised, cut, shocked, but alive. Residents screamed, thinking a burglar had arrived from heaven. Paramedics called it a physics accident with good aim. 1 inch either way, and it would have been a crime scene. Instead, it was a miracle with a heating unit attached. Number 10. A late-night freight train in Nebraska. 2 rail workers checking the rear couplings during a shift change. Standard routine, until one worker dropped a wrench. They bent down to grab it just as a broken power line above snapped loose. 10,000 volts slammed into the steel car. The current passed through the spot they'd been standing. 1 step away, the wrench clattered, and in that sound delay of a single heartbeat, they avoided being flash fried. The second worker, half-deaf from decades on the job, didn't even realize what happened until daylight revealed a melted boot print exactly where the body should have been. Timing isn't luck. Sometimes it's just clumsiness in disguise. Number 11. In 2005, outside Reno, a driver misjudged a rural curve at night and sent the car tumbling into a ravine. No guardrails, no lights, just darkness and dust. The impact triggered the airbags, but also a chain reaction in the trunk. A full can of white house paint burst open, coating the windshield from the inside. Blinded, the driver kicked open the door, stumbled out, and climbed uphill until headlights appeared on the road above. The rescue team later said if the paint hadn't exploded, they would have stayed trapped inside the car as the fuel leaked. The paint ruined the vehicle but saved the person. A disaster sealed off by color. Number 12. Brooklyn, 2013. An electrician was replacing a ceiling light in a 5th-floor apartment. The stepladder slipped on the polished wood floor and gravity claimed another amateur. As the body fell backward, the elbow slammed into a shelf, knocking down a massive potted plant. The ceramic pot shattered midair, scattering soil that cushioned the fall just enough to break the impact. Cracked ribs, sprained wrist, no fatal injuries. Paramedics later joked that it was the first confirmed case of photosynthesis intervention. That plant didn't make it, but its last act was heroic. Number 13. A diner off Route 66, Arizona Desert, 1991. Lunch rush over. Jukebox humming. One customer left. A trucker eating pie by the window. A gas tanker on the highway outside swerved to avoid a deer, flipped, and burst into flames. The explosion shattered every window in the diner, sent tables flying. The trucker survived because of one ridiculous detail: the jukebox. When the blast hit, the jukebox, a 400-pound chrome beast, tipped forward and pinned the trucker under the booth. It blocked the flying glass and the incoming fireball. Minutes later, firefighters pulled one dazed, soot-covered trucker from under the jukebox, still humming "Great Balls of Fire." The pie was gone. The song kept playing. The universe has a sense of humor. It just prefers classic rock. Number 14. The snowstorm hit Denver harder than anyone expected. Roads vanished under white sheets, visibility dropped to zero, and yet one delivery van kept going, guided only by GPS and confidence. The driver followed a route that didn't exist anymore. The van skidded, flipped, and tumbled down a snowy slope. In the chaos, the airbags failed to deploy. The windshield cracked. The van stopped nose first in a frozen creek bed. Silence. Then the ice broke. The vehicle began to sink. The driver kicked at the door, but it was jammed. As the freezing water reached the dashboard, the pressure outside forced the cracked windshield to cave in, and that collapse, violent and perfect, released the cabin pressure enough for the door to swing open. The driver crawled out, gasping, soaked, alive. Firefighters later said the windshield breaking at that exact second prevented a death by drowning. The same flaw that failed the van saved the person inside. Number 15. San Diego, 2008. A surfer paddled too far out during a foggy morning swell. No visibility, no sense of direction, only the sound of distant waves crashing somewhere too close. They turned to paddle back when the sky lit up. Lightning, followed by a roar. The bolt hit the water 100 feet away. The electrical surge traveled outward, but the surfer's old fiberglass board, patched with an absurd amount of duct tape, acted like a half insulator. The energy discharged around them, not through them. The board was scorched black. The surfer's hair stood straight up like cartoon static. Onshore witnesses said it looked like the ocean tried and failed to erase a mistake. The duct tape melted into the foam. It held the board together, and by some impossible math, held a life together too. Number 16. Oklahoma, summer of 2012. A teenager decided to test the limits of a car's cruise control on a flat stretch of highway. The idea? Stand up through the sunroof while the car rolled at 40. The result? Predictable chaos. Wind caught the steering wheel. The car drifted, clipped a mailbox, and spun off into a wheat field. The airbags didn't go off because the sensor was damaged months earlier. The wheat, tall and thick from early rains, cushioned the impact like an improvised mattress. By the time the car stopped, it was buried up to the windows in golden stalks. No injuries, only humiliation. Locals said they saw the field moving long after the crash, the stalks waving like they were applauding evolution for missing another target. Number 17. New York City, 2019. A janitor at a high-rise decided to clean the windows on the 30th floor without the safety rig, just leaning out with a rag and confidence. Halfway through, a gust of wind caught the open pane, slamming it shut on their arm. Pane exploded. The rag dropped, balance gone. But as gravity pulled, the locked window refused to budge, clamping the arm tight. The janitor dangled 30 floors above traffic until coworkers pulled them back inside. The doctors called it a dislocated shoulder. The firefighters called it the luckiest paperweight in Manhattan. Glass-cut skin, but saved everything else. Sometimes the trap is the rescue. Number 18. Florida, 2007. A lightning storm rolled over a quiet neighborhood as a family grilled in the backyard. Everyone ran inside except one uncle who refused to abandon the burgers. He stood under a metal patio roof, flipping meat as thunder rattled the ground. A bolt struck a nearby tree, shot through the roots, and arced up the metal table where he'd been standing seconds earlier. Seconds earlier. Because just before it hit, grease had dripped from the grill and caught fire, forcing him to step back to grab the extinguisher. He turned around to see the tabletop glowing like a neon sign. The fire that should have been the danger became the warning. Dinner burned. Family cheered. Science shrugged. Number 19. Boston, 1995. A construction crew was working on a downtown renovation, gutting the inside of an old apartment building. One worker decided to save time and cut a steel pipe using an angle grinder while standing on a wooden ladder. The sparks caught a stack of old insulation behind them, and in seconds, the wall was burning. Everyone bolted for the stairwell. The last worker tripped, landing flat on the floor as the ceiling above collapsed. A wooden beam fell exactly where they had been standing seconds earlier. The fall that should have broken bones had placed them in the only safe pocket in the room. The others found the worker covered in dust, coughing, but untouched. The paramedics' report later described it as a perfectly timed, clumsy miracle. Number 20. Alaska, 2010. A pilot flying a small cargo plane hit unexpected fog over the mountains. The altimeter failed, the radio was dead, and the ground vanished under a blanket of white. Flying blind, the pilot descended too fast, clipping the tops of spruce trees. The branches shredded the landing gear, but slowed the aircraft's fall. The plane nosedived into snow, stopping short of a frozen river. The pilot stumbled out, bleeding, dazed, staring at the wreck that somehow hadn't exploded. The rescue team later calculated that the snow depth and tree density had to align within centimeters to absorb the crash energy. For one frozen valley in Alaska, math became merciful. Number 21. Vegas, 2001. An overnight maintenance worker in a casino parking garage was pressure washing oil stains. They didn't notice a small propane cylinder left behind from a catering truck earlier that day. The pressure hose knocked it over, releasing gas. The worker, irritated by the hissing noise, flicked on a lighter to see what was leaking. A fireball filled the garage. When firefighters arrived, they found the worker sitting in the stairwell, singed but breathing. The explosion had blown open an emergency exit, and the shockwave had launched the worker through it like a cork from a bottle. Bruised, burned, but alive. 1,000 to 1 odds, literally blown out to safety. Number 22. Pennsylvania, 1987. A group of teenagers exploring an abandoned mine found a tunnel half flooded with freezing water. They dared one of their friends to swim across. Halfway through, panic set in, legs cramped, breath gone. The tunnel curved downward, trapping them under the surface. As their lungs screamed, they kicked blindly and hit a rusted ladder they hadn't seen before. The force pushed them up just enough to find an air pocket. They hung there until rescue arrived. Later, the local fire department found that ladder was never installed. It was a broken piece of equipment left there decades earlier. Rotted, forgotten, perfectly placed. Number 23. Colorado Springs, 2018. A rock climber ignored warnings about unstable ice on a winter route. Halfway up, a huge sheet broke free, shattering down the cliff. The rope snapped, the harness failed, and the climber fell 60 feet, directly into a pile of discarded tires from an old mountain maintenance shed. The impact crushed 2 tires and dislocated a shoulder, but nothing else. The rescue crew said if the wind had shifted a single gust, the fall would have missed the pile entirely. Those tires had been scheduled for disposal the next day. Trash day came early for fate. Number 24. Texas, summer of 2004. A mechanic was testing an old Chevy pickup in the back lot of a small-town garage. The gas pedal stuck. The truck jumped the curb, tore through a fence, and shot straight toward a drainage canal 15 feet deep. The brakes were gone, the steering locked, and the world turned into one long, dusty scream. Mid-air, the truck's tailgate broke loose, flipping open like a metal parachute. The sudden drag slowed the fall just enough for the front bumper to hit water, instead of concrete. The truck sank nose first into the muddy canal, but the cab stayed above water for a few precious seconds. The driver kicked open the door, crawled out, coughing and shaking. When the tow crew pulled the wreck out hours later, they found the tailgate jammed at a perfect 90-degree angle. The aerodynamics of dumb luck. An accident engineered by corrosion. One rusted hinge had rewritten physics for 30 seconds and saved a life. Number 25. Cleveland, 2015. A security guard working the night shift in an office tower was microwaving leftovers when the building's fire alarm started blaring. Annoyed, they assumed it was another drill and stayed by the break room window, waiting for the noise to stop. 5 floors below, an electrical fire in the basement triggered a small explosion. The elevator shafts became chimneys, filling with smoke. The guard watched the emergency lights flicker, then felt the floor shake. They finally grabbed their coat and stepped into the stairwell, just as the ceiling tiles collapsed behind them. Later, investigators learned that the guard's 15-second delay placed them between 2 waves of smoke rolling through the tower. The first wave from the basement, the second drawn down from the vents above. Caught in neither, they walked out through the only breathable corridor left. Firefighters called it accidental choreography. Bad timing turned out to be the only good timing possible. Number 26. Seattle, 1993. A city bus was rounding a corner in heavy rain when the driver spotted a cyclist slide under the front bumper. Instinct hit the brakes. Too late. The bus skidded across the slick pavement, tires locked, dragging the bike and its rider. Bystanders screamed. Then, halfway through the slide, the bus struck a parked sedan. The impact crumpled the sedan's trunk, but shifted the bus just enough to tilt its front end upward. The bike frame wedged under the bumper shattered, and the rider was flung sideways into a row of garbage bins. When rescue arrived, they found the cyclist dazed, arm broken, alive. The crushed sedan's owner later said it had been parked illegally that morning. The ticket still fluttered under the wiper. That ticket might as well have been a halo. Number 27. Florence, Kentucky, 1999. A tornado warning had gone out, but most of the small town ignored it. In a gas station just off the highway, a clerk stayed behind to close up while others ran for shelter. The wind hit without warning. The building shook. The windows imploded inward. The clerk dove under the front counter. A full-size refrigerator behind the snack aisle tipped over and fell, pinning them against the floor. Outside, the roof tore away, rain screaming sideways. When the noise finally died, the station was gone. Nothing left but the counter and the refrigerator. The clerk crawled out through broken glass into a sky so silent, it hurt. A rescue team found them sitting on a slab of concrete, shivering, surrounded by splinters. The only piece of the gas station left standing was the cooler that saved them. Metal, insulation, dumb weight. The everyday miracle of heavy things not moving. Number 28. Florida Keys, 2011. A diver was exploring an underwater wreck, chasing a lost flashlight deeper into a narrow passage. The silt kicked up, the light vanished, and so did the way out. Panic, darkness, no bubbles visible, no direction. They tried to turn but snagged their air hose on a jagged beam. The tank hissed, pressure dropping. In the chaos, their shoulder hit something cold, a pipe, smooth and hollow. Instinct pushed them forward, hands following the pipe upward until their head broke the surface. A forgotten maintenance vent, 4 feet wide, leading straight up to daylight. They surfaced in the middle of the mangroves, gasping, eyes wide, lungs burning. The boat crew never even saw where they came up. Later, investigators said that vent had been sealed years ago, but corrosion reopened it just enough to pass a person through. A doorway built by rust. A rescue no one designed. Number 29. Nevada Desert, 2002. A family road trip gone wrong somewhere between nothing and nowhere. Their minivan overheated in 110-degree heat, miles from the nearest sign of life. No cell service, no shade, no hope. The driver popped the hood, steam exploding like a geyser. In desperation, they grabbed bottled water and poured it over the radiator. It sizzled uselessly. Then, in the stillness, the smallest sound, a rattle. A desert rattlesnake slid out from the rocks and under the van, disappearing near the engine. Panic set in, but so did curiosity. They waited, listening, as the snake slithered out the other side, followed by a gush of coolant and a sudden hiss. The creature had dislodged a loose clamp that had been blocking the pressure valve. The radiator bled out, cooled instantly, and stopped smoking. The family managed to restart the van, coasting downhill until they found a gas station 20 miles later. Mechanics couldn't explain how the valve unclogged itself. The snake was never seen again. The desert, apparently, keeps its own roadside assistance. Number 30, Oregon, 2016. A retired teacher lived alone in a creaky old farmhouse, the kind with thin walls and older wiring. One night, a storm rolled through, rattling the windows and knocking out power. The teacher lit candles, read a book, and eventually fell asleep in the chair. Around midnight, lightning struck the property's power line, sending a surge through the entire house. Every outlet sparked, except the living room, where the old lamp had been unplugged earlier that day to dust the shelves. The chair, the carpet, everything nearby should have gone up in flames, but instead the surge overloaded the breaker and killed the entire circuit. The house went pitch black. The next morning, neighbors found smoke stains creeping up the walls, but the structure still stood. Unplugging one lamp out of boredom saved the whole house. The dusting no one wanted became the firewall no one expected. Number 31, Colorado, 1990. A snowplow operator worked a late shift clearing mountain roads. Visibility, 0. Radio, dead. As they crawled along the ridge, a warning light flashed on the dashboard. Hydraulic failure. They stopped the plow, stepped out to check, and the ground disappeared. The road edge had collapsed under the weight of melting snow. The entire machine slid down the slope, roaring into darkness. The operator stood frozen on the narrow edge, staring down at the wreck. Seconds. That's how long separated survival from the fall. The hydraulics had failed because a single bolt sheared off from metal fatigue. That failure forced the operator to stop, a broken part that broke time just right. Sometimes the mountain takes the plow, not the person. Number 32, Louisiana, 2009. An alligator wrangler at a roadside attraction had a habit of showing off for tourists. One hot afternoon, they leaned too close while feeding a massive 12-footer named Bubba. The gator snapped. Teeth clamped around the wrangler's sleeve, dragging them toward the water. Spectators screamed. But as Bubba twisted, the denim tore free, and with it, a pocket full of keys. The keys lodged between the gator's teeth like a metal wedge, keeping its mouth slightly open long enough for handlers to yank the wrangler clear. Later, they found the same keys still wedged in Bubba's jaw, bent but intact. Every tourist bought a souvenir. The wrangler never wore jeans again. Number 33, Maine, 1984. A lighthouse keeper woke to the sound of crashing waves and something heavier, the groan of rock shifting beneath the tower. Storms had eaten away the foundation for years, but that night, the ocean took another bite. They ran outside to inspect, wind slicing like knives. The cliffs below gave way. Half the lighthouse slid into the sea. The keeper clung to the doorframe, felt gravity tilt, and jumped. They landed hard in the mud path beside a supply shed. When daylight came, the tower was gone. Everything except that shed, anchored by a forgotten chain bolted decades earlier to an old ship engine buried under the soil. The chain held fast through the storm, dragging the remaining structure just enough inland to save the keeper's quarters. A link of rusted steel and blind luck. One life tethered by history, refusing to let go. 33 disasters. 33 people who should have been stories, not survivors. But somehow chaos blinked first. Luck? Stupidity? Who cares? It worked. Drop a comment with the dumbest survival story you've heard and hit subscribe before luck runs out for both of us.